Welcome to part 5 of this Football Manager 2016 experiment, where I've swapped all of the English leagues around. If you've missed part 1 to 4, maybe go and check them out first so you know what this is all about. So I've now holidayed another 5 seasons since part 4, so we're in the year 2032 now. If you want me to go another 10 seasons, so in part 6 do another 10 seasons, then hit that like button and I will happily do part 6 where we go 10 more years into the future and see what has happened to football in that period of time. There's certainly been some very interesting things, intriguing things that have happened in the experiment so far, but the last 5 years been no different. Lots of interesting things going on, and I'm going to show you what has happened in those 5 years in this video, just in a bit more detail, looking at clubs and players and the England international team and all the divisions and cup competitions as well, just like I did in the last part. Once again, you can download the database from the Steam Workshop. It is in the description below. Just click on that link and you can subscribe to the database and play on this yourself. So let's get started then. As you can see there, Chelsea and Man City have been dominant. Since they both got promoted to the top league, they were the first two real-life English teams to get back into the top flight. And they've dominated ever since, I guess because they've had that advantage of getting there before the likes of Man United, Arsenal, Spurs. You can actually see there's not a huge number of real-life Premier League teams in the top flight compared to my previous experiments on FM 13, 14 and 15. Like in those experiments, we definitely saw the majority of Premier League teams get back to the top flight by this point. But we've got Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Arsenal and Tottenham. 5 predictable teams there. Then we've got Liverpool and West Ham, but as you can see there, they were relegated this season. I think Liverpool and West Ham have turned into yo-yo teams between the Premier League and Championship, but they're effectively the 6th and 7th best teams, real-life Premier League teams in this. So it shows that there's only 5 teams that have sustained themselves at the top of English football, and that's Chelsea, Man City, Man United, Arsenal and Spurs, basically in that order as well. You can see here West Ham actually got to the top flight eventually in 2029, winning the Championship. Spent 2 years in the top flight before getting relegated this season, and you may have just seen there Liverpool have been up and down a couple of times now since getting to the top flight, finally in 2029 as well, finishing second, but they didn't manage to stay in the top flight. They've been up and down since. Interesting stuff. But Chelsea, on the other hand, have been dominant. They've won the league a few times. Man City have won it 4 times as well. Man United missing out a number of times here. They finished second 4 times and third twice. Very unlucky. Lowestoft have managed to break the top 3 monopoly here. That's the first time one of the untraditional Premier League teams has finished in the top 3 since 2024. They finished 3rd in 2027-28 season, so well done to them. However, they did finish all the way down in 12th this season, not such a successful season for them. Ebbsfleet, the highest English non-Premier League team. Ebbsfleet 4th, Cambridge 5th, Hemel Hempstead 6th, finishing above Arsenal and Tottenham, doing very well. It's great to see some of these teams doing really well. For example, Ebbsfleet, 4-star reputation team. They've got Brendan Rodgers in charge. He seems to have managed every single team imaginable on this, which is pretty funny, really. He's been, really around the block, hasn't he? Been in charge of Bishop Stortford for 7 months before moving to Ebbsfleet just now. In the last... Actually, he's been in charge of them for a while, hasn't he? He's been in charge since 2028 for 4 years. You can see the history of Ebbsfleet United. They've had Gökhan Inler in charge. That is random. This is brilliant. I mean, some of the managers you see on this are just fantastic. Chelsea manager, is it still Mourinho in 2032? Surely not. They've got Sergei Rebrov in charge. I've seen him in charge of England before on Football Manager 2016 actually. Man United have Sinisa Mahajovic. Is he Serbian? Probably. Yeah, Serbian in charge of Man United at the moment. Obviously all the players are regens now. Man United have got back to being a 4.5-star worldwide reputation team. At one point, we saw them at about 2 stars, I think. But Chelsea, Man United and Man City are all 4.5-star worldwide reputation now. Rene Hake are in charge of Manchester City. You can see here Emery's in charge of Arsenal, but Danny Welbeck is in charge of Bishop Stortford. He's 41 now. Let's just have a quick look at his history. and see where he's been. He's been in charge of Oxford, Harrogate, Maidenhead and Bishop Stortford. Now, all teams that have done pretty well on this save, so he's become a good manager actually on this game. I think Oxford aren't featured in this anymore. I was going to have a look at Harrogate. Where are they? I don't think they're featuring in the Premier League anymore either. Interesting stuff. Let's have a look to see stadiums. Has anything changed here? No, Old Trafford's still the same size. It's still New White Hart Lane. Dalglish Arena, 43,212. Hillsborough, Ellen Road. There's nothing major that's happened. Gosport Stadium, 25,000 seater. When was that built? So that's been built in the last 7 years. That's a recent stadium. Since they've had their success in this save, they've decided to build a new stadium. I think Cambridge Stadium, relatively new, 12 years old now, 2020. Dace Park, Ebbsfleet, they built their stadium pretty early on actually. They probably want to expand it at some point if they stay in the Premier League for a long time, because there's some pretty small stadiums in this division, let's be honest here. Rules wise, we're back up to 4 Champions League places, 3 via the league in terms of top 3 getting a group stage place, and then 1 place is a best place playoff. So we're back up to 4, so it shows that the Premier League competition reputation is back up to 2nd, and that's really risen quite a bit over the last few years, all the way up from 5th to 2nd. So they're back to where they were effectively at the start of the save. So let's go down the divisions and have a look at some of the other things in a bit more detail. So Brackley have won the Sky Bet Championship, 101 points. Carlisle going back up to the top flight as well. They've been pretty successful on this save. You can see they've basically become a yo-yo team between the top flight and the Championship. They spent a few years in the Championship now under charge of Alex Smithies, but he's managed to get them back to the top flight. 4.5-star reputation team, you can see here, worth £17.63 million, but finishing 2nd place going up. Brackley, I don't know if they started. They did start in the top flight. Got relegated in the 6th season, promoted back again, and then relegated last season after quite a few years in the top flight, but only just surviving every year here, as you can see. But they're back up to the Premier League. Phil Jones is in charge of Brackley Town, getting them promoted. And Margate, also a team that seems to be up and down between the top flight and the Championship, as you can see here. Greg Wild in charge has managed to get them promoted back to the top division. They were one of the first teams to go up, weren't they, from this? They got promoted from the Championship in the first season via the playoffs, and they're winning the playoffs once again quite a few years down the road. Southampton missing out. So Southampton went into administration at one point on this save, didn't they? They got Phil Parkinson in charge, and they rose up the divisions pretty well despite going into administration. They've been stuck in the Championship ever since 2023 when they got promoted. St Mary's Stadium's been expanded to 40,000 seater stadium. However, they've just been stuck. They can't get out this division. Harrogate also in this division. They've been very successful on this save. In the comment section below, let me know who you think has been the most successful non-league team so far. So real life non-league team. Probably Gosport, let's be honest, but you could argue another team, I guess, if we just go up. Hemel Hempstead have done particularly well. Ebbsfleet done very well. Gosport, Hayes and Yedding, but I think Gosport have been in the Premier League the whole time. Yeah, they have. They've survived the whole time, and they did win the league once in the 3rd season. Oh, I've just realised they've got Zinedine Zidane in charge, and they've got a chap with a brilliant hair and beard combo there. I'm just looking at Gosport again because I'm always intrigued to look at their players, because I think they've got. Let's just have a quick look. General info. All of these players will be regions, as you'd expect. They've got a real mix of nationalities in there now. Only 2 English players. At one point they were very good. Them and Lowestoft were very good at signing young English talent, but they've really got a mix of players now. So back to the Championship. Aston Villa and Everton are in the Championship as well now. Aston Villa took a while to get up the divisions. They've only just in the last few years risen up. In fact, they managed to get 3 successive promotions from the National League after spending numerous years stuck there. 3 successive promotions, and now they're in the Championship. 2nd season in the Championship. That is pretty fascinating, actually, that they took so long to get promoted from the National League, then flew up straight away. That first step from the National League is just the hardest one, because there's only 2 teams that go up, remember. Everton also, I think, another team that sort of struggled to climb up. And it's only recent years, likewise, that they've managed to go up. They only got promoted from League One last year as champions, and they finished 10th in their first season. Norwich, I think they've been quite low down at times. They got up to the Championship relatively early on, I guess, sort of in the mid part of this experiment, but then got relegated again and managed to get promoted back to the Championship last year. Watford, another team that was stuck in the National League for ages. They were promoted as champions in 2026 and 3 successive promotions, and they've been in the Championship for the last 4 years. Going down the list, we've got the likes of Concord Rangers, who have been in the Premier League at times, but have been in the Championship the last few years. It's great to see some of these teams surviving in the Championship and the Premier League as well, and not getting relegated all the way back down. Yeovil have done particularly well. Newcastle, Millwall and Leyton Orient relegated. Millwall have spent time in the Premier League on this. They've done quite well, actually. They spent 1 season in the Premier League, then many, many years in the Championship, and have finally got relegated under control of Jordan Much. But at Newcastle, that's a bit of a shock, I guess, getting relegated from the Championship. They haven't managed to get to the top flight. They spent ages in the National League, finally promoted up to the Championship in a matter of seasons, but now they're back down to League One. So League One, Brentford and Huddersfield Town, 2 real-life Championship teams, have made it back into the Championship with 89 points. Plymouth only just missing out. Brighton, another Championship team, going up as well via the playoffs. We saw Sunderland relegated with Cardiff, Nuneaton and Corby. Nuneaton have done well to remain quite high up, I think. They were in the Championship to start with, relegated to League One and then relegated to League Two, finally promoted again last season, but they're back down in League Two. Corby as well have done particularly well to stay quite high up. They started in the Premier League, relegated down to League One in 2025, then relegated down to League Two, promoted back to League One, but they're back down to League Two again. And that Nathaniel Klein in charge of Corby. But Sunderland is the biggest shock here, I guess, getting relegated down to League One. They got promoted out of the Football League in 2024, as you can see there, and promoted all the way to the Championship before being relegated, and they've been relegated again. They're in trouble, aren't they? And Isaac Hayden is in charge of them. You can see here Leicester stuck in League One in 8th place, not doing terribly, but not doing that well, let's be honest. In real life they're obviously flying, but on this save they haven't done a huge amount. They were in the Vanarama Conference National League for ages, finally promoted up to League One, and now they're spent a couple seasons here. So let's go down to League Two then, where we can see Gillingham won the latest playoff. Newport County champions, 79 points. That's pretty low total. It shows that this league is bunched up. They're quite equal. Newport County champions, North Ferriby, Staleybridge going up as well, and Gillingham. I don't think there's any real-life Premier League teams in this division. Curzon Ashton and Dartford, the 2 teams that had to go down. FC United surviving again. Let's have a quick look at them. I'm sure there's lots of you interested in FC United. They started in the Championship, relegated 2 seasons in a row, remember. Spent loads of years in League 2, got promoted again, then relegated last season. And this season they've only just survived a second successive relegation. Chelmsford City surviving again as well. I'm pleased to see that. They've been in League 2 ever since their 2 successive relegations in the second and third season of this experiment, and they've been in this division ever since. The highest they've been is 9th. They're sort of a middle of the road League 2 team now, I guess, along with quite a few other teams. Nottingham Forest pretty low down, you can see there. I don't know if they've managed to get out of League 2 at any point. No, this was their first season in League 2, in fact. They've been in the conference for a long old time, and they've finally managed to get promoted to to League 2, where they spent their first season here. So the Vanarama National League, QPR are champions. They've finally gone up. Stoke City missing out again, as have Wolves. But let's look at QPR, who spent so long in this division. They were promoted to the National League in 2020, so relatively early on in this experiment. But they have been stuck in the National League ever since. and they have finally got promoted to the Football League, along with Coventry City, who likewise have been stuck. They've been stuck in the National League the whole time in this experiment. They've been consistent, I guess. They've been close to relegation on a few times, and finally they've managed to get into the playoffs for the first time in the experiment, and they have actually gone up at the first time of asking. Walsall, Peterborough, Bath and Solihull Moors relegated. Bath, I've seen them flirting with relegation a few times, and they've gone down gradually on this save. You can see it took them a couple seasons, 3 seasons to get relegated from the Championship where they started, then another 4 seasons. In their 4th season in League 1 they got relegated, spent lots of years in League 2 before finally getting relegated, and now they've been relegated from the National League again. They're back where they started, but it has taken quite a long time for that to happen. There are teams in this experiment that have finally been relegated back to the level where they started, or promoted back to where they started, but some teams they whizzed through, it was quickly, and other teams it's been gradual and they've only just filtered back down or back up. So let's go down to the Vanarama National North, where we can see Rochdale won the league, 75 points. That's another low points tally. Mansfield only lost out on goal difference, and Bury were the team fortunate to get promoted via the playoffs. We've still got the likes of West Brom stuck in this division. Have they been stuck the whole time? No, they have been up to the National League, and then they were relegated, and we saw them relegated out of this division. I forgot about this, and then they were promoted again back up to the Conference North, and here they are, not stuck, I guess, in this division, but they were relegated out of this division at one point, remember. Looking down the list, Blackburn's still stuck there. Were they? I think they may have been. Yeah, they were relegated at one point, and they made it back up to the National League and North, but they haven't managed to get out of this division so far. So, National League South, then, what's happened? Eastleigh beat Basingstoke 3-1, Hampshire derby there in the playoff final, but Dover went up quite comfortably so with 94 points. This is a more traditional National League South, I guess, if you look at the teams in here. Leamington, Bournemouth and Grays relegated. There's no Championship or Premier League teams. I don't think there's even any League 1 teams in here looking at it. It's a pretty sensible division. These are the teams you'd expect to be in there. Quite a few teams that started in the depths of English football in there as well, I think. But we've still got Bolton missing. They're still deep in the regional leagues. There's probably a few others that I can't remember being relegated, but that are still stuck below the National League South and North. You can see the recent FA Cup winners: Man United, Chelsea, Man United, but Sheffield United this year 3-3 in the final. They managed to win on penalties. Cesar managed to get a hat-trick for Chelsea. Let's have a look at him. He must be a good player. He's a legendary striker, 30 years old, Brazilian, 36 goals in 85 games for Brazil. He's an exceptional player, scoring a hat-trick in this FA Cup final, but unsuccessful. Sheffield United managed to defeat them at Wembley, so well done to Sheffield United. Look at the recent winners then. We saw Lowestoft win it in 2020 and Gosport win it the year before them. But since then, it really was dominated. Hemel Hempstead lost a couple of finals. They're unlucky there, but we've finally seen a non-real-life Premier League team winning it for the first time in 5 years. So going down to the League Cup then. This is more interesting. Ebbsfleet beat Hemel Hempstead this year 3-0 in the final. I think this might be another Brazilian actually, yeah. He's not being capped by Brazil, but looks pretty decent, 24 years old, and scoring a couple goals in the final. But looking at the recent winners, it's far more interesting. Last 5 seasons then, Man United beat Sheffield Wednesday, Man City then beat Chelsea, but look at this. Hemel Hempstead beat Lowestoft, Whitehawk beat Margate, and Ebbsfleet beat Hemel Hempstead. That is much more interesting finals for this experiment, I guess. Going down then and looking at some of the lesser competition, lower league competitions. Community Shield, Man City beat Man United this year. Man City have won it 5 seasons in a row. And the Johnston's Paint Trophy, recent winners: Hull City, Luton, Brighton, winning it twice in a row. And then Plymouth this year, they beat Sunderland. And the FA Trophy, in recent years. Fulham won it in 2028, then we got Leicester, Coventry, Stoke City, and this year Rotherham beat QPR 3-0 in the final. So these are the recent winners of the Champions League. We've seen Chelsea, they won it in the last episode, in part 4. They won it in 2027, but we've not seen an English winner. No, we have seen an English winner since Man City. What am I talking about? Barcelona won it twice in a row, then Man City beat PSG, Bayern Munich beat Man United, and PSG beat Chelsea. It's fascinating that these English teams have recovered completely, and they're actually pretty dominant in European tournaments now. Chelsea, Man United featuring, Man City have won their first ever Champions League in the last 3 years. Man United have managed to get to a final as well. And this is the Euro Cup, another couple of English winners. We've got Chelsea and Man City in there. AC Milan, Schalke and Valencia, the other winners in the last 5 years. You can see Wolfsburg have reached 3 of the last 6 finals, but unlucky not to win. Belgium won the most recent World Cup, 2-1 against Argentina in the final. I don't know if there's any real players in here. You may be able to spot someone. England got as far as the second round before being defeated 4-1 by Italy. Pretty disastrous defeat for England there. Brendan Galloway, real life player. This is a couple of years ago now, remember. He's still at Lowestoft. He's in the under-21s now, but he's had a stellar career. 134 games for England. He's been a real star of the series and a Lowestoft legend. He actually played 24 games this year as well at the age of 36. He's had a remarkable career since leaving Everton. And this is the England team. They've got a Romanian in charge at the age of 41. Alexandru Maxim is in charge. Really quite random. You can see the top players here. John Pike for Man City is still the top player. Really, really good player. Legendary midfielder. Exceptional. Look at those bright green attributes there. Lots of them standing out. Very, very good player. 116 caps for England. Second best is Steve Greenwood. We've had a look at him before. He's at the age of 32 now. There's a great facial hair. Quite creepy looking, I must say. But he's been rather good as well. Tottenham player nowadays. Andrew Stones. Is he related to John Stones? He's got white hair. He looks quite creepy, actually, to be honest. I don't think he'll be related to John Stones. But anyway, he's one of the better players in England at the moment. These are the top clubs then. You're probably interested in looking at this. Man City currently top. Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal. Then Tranmere Rovers. We haven't really looked at them in great detail previously, but they are a strong team. They've got Patrick Vieira in charge. They're a 4-star continental rich team worth £294 million. They've got a 27,000-seater stadium. They've been in the top flight ever since they got, promoted how many times in a row? First season from League One, second season from the Championship, and they've been very successful since. The highest they finished in the top flight is 5th, I think, on a couple of occasions. This year they finished 11th, but they've been very good. They've been a really good team in this series, and to survive that long in the Premier League, obviously a decent team. Then we've got Ebbsfleet, Lowestoft, Gosport, Hazelhead, and Spurs are below all those teams. But the next best real-life Premier League team is West Ham and Liverpool, down there, 3.5-star reputation. Quite low down now, really. This is the stadium info of the clubs. I think that the biggest is still Man United, and then it's Spurs. Nothing drastic has changed to any of the real-life Premier League teams, apart from Liverpool moving to Dalglish Arena and only having a 43,000-seater stadium. World Player of the Year, then, have been regens recently, as you'd expect. We saw Paul Pogba win in 2025, but since then I think it's just been regens. Neymar featured 3rd at the age of 34, and if we go up, Man United player there, an American, Roger Kahn, and then this year we saw a Chelsea player, Christophe Robert, a French guy. Let's have a look at him at the age of 31, left midfielder. Legendary midfielder, 111 caps for France, very, very good player. Been at Chelsea for a long old time. They signed him when they got to the Premier League for £41.5 million. This is the world rankings for international teams. England down in 11th place at the moment. Competitions-wise, Premier League is second, as I said earlier. Cup competitions, let's have a look. There is actually the top domestic cup in the world. They're above the Brazilian Cup, a German Cup, Copa America, Belgian Cup's quite high up now. So best teams in the world in terms of reputation, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juventus and Bayern Munich all have a 5-star reputation. The best one is for English team is Man City now. Chelsea were top of the pile for a while. Finances then, let's see, Real Madrid are top now, Chelsea are second, Man City, Tottenham, Arsenal, Man United all in the top 10. Next best English team is Ebbsfleet, £357 million now in 25th place. Gosport, they've got a bigger stadium now, £342 million. Lowestoft must have dropped off a bit by the looks of it. Got Tranmere Rovers in there, Liverpool, Hemel Hempstead, Cambridge. Lowestoft, £206 million. They seem to be going down a little bit every single time, don't they? But Ebbsfleet have taken on the mantle very successfully. Just having a look at a few other interesting things, we can see the England legends list here. We've got John Stones, who has retired as a player at the age of 37, 141 caps, played for Chelsea for many, many years. Harry Kane's on there as well. He's still around. He's playing for Amcar now. Managed to get 124 caps and 70 goals. He's 38 years old now, but he's been playing in Qatar since he left Man City in 2013, and now has moved to a Russian team as well. 5.74 average rating is appalling though for 30 games. Wayne Rooney's a manager. Don't know if he's been in charge of anyone. He didn't actually break the England goal scoring record on here. 49 goals, got the same as Bobby Charlton. So I guess someone else has that record now. He finished his career at Harrogate, funnily enough, in 2022. I don't know if he's been in charge of anyone. Let's have a look. He's been in charge of a few teams actually. Managed Oxford, Concord Rangers, Whitehawk, Concord Rangers again, Plymouth, Macclesfield, Alfreton and Swansea. Quite a few teams in that period. Never spent a huge amount of time at anyone looking at him. Let's have a look at his awards. Actually, competitions. I think he's won a few things, but nothing massive. There's his biography if you want to pause it and have a read of that. Luke Shaw, also an England legend. He's still playing at the age of 36, playing for Cesena in Italy now. He's moved to Real Madrid quite early on in this experiment for 30 million, then moved to Toronto FC. He's not played in England since 2018. These are the records. Of course, Harry Kane, top scorer, 70 goals. I was saying about Wayne Rooney not having the record. Harry Kane has it with 70 goals. He's been incredibly successful on this save. And you can see a few records there if you're interested. It'll be interesting to look at the managers and the longest time spent at a club. These are all really low league teams that haven't been in the experiment, I guess. But Harrogate have had Simon Weaver in charge for 5,747 days. Oh no, wait, yeah, he's in charge of Newcastle now, but he was in charge of Harrogate for a long old time. Neil Harris has been in charge of Hayes and Yeading for 5,688 days. And Liverpool had Van Bronckhorst for a long time. Looking down, Sergei Rebrov in charge of 5,477 days at the moment. So there's some big old long periods of time that some managers have been in charge. Andre Villas-Boas was at Hemel Hempstead for a long time. He's at Shakhtar that was when he was at Shakhtar. He's in charge of Hemel Hempstead at the moment. And how long has he been there? Let's have a quick look. Been there for 2 years. Was in charge of Tottenham for a short period again, actually, looking at that. But yeah, that's pretty funny, really, being he's in charge of Hemel Hempstead. As always, if you spot anything in here that you've seen in the video, put it in the comment section below. Something that I've missed or something you think that's quite amusing or interesting, stick it in the comment section below. So I'll end it here with the record screen. You can see here the lowest attendance. 63 people turned up to see Hayes and Yeading versus Corby in 2016. That is hilarious. 63 people turned up. The biggest win is still Man United versus Ipswich, 9-0. Most games won in a row has been Chelsea managed to win 15 in a row on this save. I don't know if there's anything else. Most games without scoring, Gainsborough. Bit unfortunate for them there. Harrogate managed to get 67 yellow cards and 12 red cards in one season in the 2028-29 season. That is ridiculous. No one's managed to get a double hat-trick still in the Premier League. Most assists though, Christophe Robert, the legendary French player, 2030, managed to get 22 assists. Highest average rating, Roger Kahn, he won World Player of the Year at one point, didn't he? So let's have a look at him. The American with 95 caps, 110 goals in 95 caps for USA. He's 35 on this, still looks very good. His physicals have gone down a bit, but obviously a very good player over the years. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. It's been much appreciated, all the support so far. If you want a part 6 for our holiday 10 years into the future, then please hit that like button to say that you would like to see a part 6 to see what's happened 10 years into the future, so 2042. Hit that like button on this video then, and leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I will see you in a future video.